Hello, it's Mark Ridgway again in Lesson 3 of how to use PrayerMate. Today we will be looking at how to set up lists and subjects so that you will be able to have them effectively appear in your daily prayer feeds. We started with the app, and first thing I want to note is if you list off for the lists, I've got currently half a dozen lists there. The order in which the prayer subjects appear is the order of the lists, of course, and so you may want to change around that order. In this case you can click and hold myself, and I'll just move it down behind missions. There we are. So prayers for myself will come in at that point. But let's try and explore how PrayerMate chooses prayers. So let's work from scratch by setting up a new list. Create your own list, and let's PrayerMate. We'll pray for PrayerMate. Okay. Go to list settings on the little icon there on the wheel. Okay, first thing is you can add a list photo. It's very pretty, so you can choose a photo from your gallery or wherever else. I'll just choose one of my recent ones here, and then I can save it. As you can see, it pops up there. Auto shuffle, I don't find that very useful. You can play with that and see if it makes a lot of difference in how prayers appear in the list. But the one that you do want to control is this one. Normally you would not use always pray for this list. If you do click on this, you then have an option to pray for any number of items. We don't have any subjects at the moment in the list. It's chosen one. So, problem with using this all the time is that it basically fixes the numbers of prayers that you ever can pray for. Because if you have one prayer per each list, then, and you've got 10 lists, you're only ever going to have 10 prayers ever. No more, no less. So you want PrayerMate to choose for you. So you don't want to use this all the time, but you may want to use it from time to time to actually set it. In this case, I'm going to switch it off. And we can come back. Now, down the bottom here, we can add to our list. So, we have a number of ways of adding it, and PrayerMate provides a lot of options. Let's just explore it. First thing you could do is you could just add a new subject by just typing it in. Okay, prayer for developers. Okay, and you can add prayer cards and so on by clicking on this, and we've seen that in the previous lesson. Let's go back. Let's add some more prayers to the list. Now we can add a list of names, so you can if you've got a lot of people, say it's your family, you want to pray for each one, you can type in all the family members' names one by one. Or you can add it from your contacts list. It's another way of doing it. But you can also start exploring all of the suggested contacts. These are pre-written prayers as well as subscriptions, and we need to look down on those. So let's say it's a church thing, and you can see this, and you can see you've got a list of prayers that are pre-written. Some of them are actually subscriptions, some of them are just preloaded prayers. So you actually click on them, 18 things to pray for your church. Well, you can see that's a preloaded prayer. It's already written, it's there. And if you wanted to use that one, you would just click on download here. Or you may want to use J.C. Ryle's Prayer for Gospel Ministers. Okay, that's a fixed prayer as well. You can download that one as well. You can go back. You can pull in church feeds. There's actual Australian churches here, or Canadian or European churches. And if you went to Australian churches, for example, you will see lists of churches here that have actually set up prayer feeds. So you can subscribe to those. For example, You can subscribe to the Anglican Communion, and each day you will get the Anglican Communion's prayer for the day. And there's a whole lot of things that you can explore. You can add from a QR code. Sometimes you'll get an email promoting a particularly new PrayerMate feed, and you'll get a QR code with that. You can add them from QR codes. And if you're subscribed and signed up to PrayerMate, then you will get an occasional email, and they will tell you about the new prayer feeds that are available. So, here is the list, PrayerMate, and we've got a prayer subject called Pray for Developers. We can actually go to notice the picture coming up there. You can go to the settings here and go to the subject settings. And here we can look at a number of things. You can actually look at the scheduling mode. Default means PrayerMate will choose it, but you can actually force it to be prayed for on a day of a week, or a day of the month, or on a very specific date in the future. There is no day of the year, which I think is a big missing, because it would be great for birthdays, to pray for specific people on their birthdays, or, for example, a day of death, for example. And it would be great to have anniversaries in that, but it's not there. Sorry. Talk to the developers. Priority can be set to low, normal, high, but you can also set just a specific subject to be prayed every time. Okay, but use that with discretion, because if you click enough of those, you just fill up your prayer list with things that are fixed, and you have no room for any scope of growth. There are some other advanced things which we'll look at in later sessions. You can set auto archive if you know that this prayer will finish on a specific date. You can set up an auto archive for, say, a week after that date, and it will automatically be archived out of the system. But archive's a separate subject, and I'll deal with that later, because I don't recommend using auto archive, but it's there and you may want to use it. Okay, that's really all you need to know. You come back to my list, and here we have a whole list. We might want to move PrayerMate up the list a bit, because it's important. Yeah, up here. And you would then review each of your lists and how things are going. You will know from the prayers that are presented to you whether you need to start adjusting the list frequencies and so on. That I can't really teach you. That's a matter of experiment and playing with it, and go play, I'd say.